Well, every year the White House is mandated to release their payroll. So who's on the White House staff and how much are they making? Joining us now is Adam Andrzejewski, CEO and founder of OpenTheBooks.com. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning, Angela.
So first, let's compare the payroll of Joe Biden's White House to past presidents like Obama and also Trump.
Yeah, the Biden White House payroll is the largest in modern presidential history. He's got 565 employees on staff. No one in this 50-year period over the course of the last 5 decades, all the way back to Richard Nixon in 1971, no president had ever employed more than 500. Biden's headcount is 565 for $61 million. It's 152 employees more than President Trump at this same period in his presidency. It's 100 more than Barack Obama at this same point in his presidency. But even more troubling, Angela, is the fact that we discovered and crunched the numbers that there's been 77% turnover since Biden's first year on the White House staff amongst his senior advisors. And this is a president definitely in need of aid and advice. He's turned over 73% of his senior advisors since his first year.
That sounds like a large number right there. Last year, the top paid advisor was in charge of our monkeypox response. Who are the top paid staffers this year?
So incredibly, we identified the senior advisor on immigration as one of the top paid. And there's been 10 million illegal entrants crash our border this year, and she should be fired. You've got one of the senior advisors that's the on racial economic development. This is a staffer pushing equity versus competitive capitalism. Those two are opposite values of one another. But what we noticed is most of the top paid, actually 4 out of the top 10, are actually lawyers. And if you dig further through the White House payroll, there's actually 51 lawyers on staff, costing the American taxpayers $7 million a year just for the lawyers. So this is an administration, the Biden administration, that is definitely lawyered up.
What about the staffers working for the First Lady?
Well, this was very interesting. So back in 2009, Michelle Obama, she caught a lot of grief, a lot of criticism for employing 24 First Lady staffers. And Jill Biden has now equaled that number at 24. Melania Trump did have 11 staffers dedicated to her. Now, for the first time, we've seen something that's been different. Jill Biden actually has a foreign policy advisor. She's got an advisor on the economy. She's got an advisor on the workforce, an advisor on healthcare. She's got 4 other policy advisors. And it does beg the question as to how much policy influence Jill Biden has with her husband, the president. We also found that she's got schedulers and travel advisors. Actually, she's got so many advisors, and this is true. We got this out of the White House payroll. She actually has an advisor to her senior advisor on staff.
Now let's talk about these policy czars. They first appear, I believe, in the Obama administration. How many does Biden have? What can you tell us about that being on the payroll?
So the czars have been rebranded as special assistants. There's 106 of them on the Biden White House payroll. For example, there's 4 of them on climate, national and international climate czars. You've got a gender czar, an international gender czar. And so actually on these special assistants, there's 106 of them.
And what about pay disparities, men versus women?
Yeah, this is very interesting. So we went back and looked at the first names to identify, that was the rubric we used, to identify men versus women on the payroll. And the women, there's 350 of them versus about 200 men. So there's a lot more women on the payroll. But on average, they actually make less money. The women make $103,000 and the men make $115,000.
Well, thank you so much, Adam Andrzejewski, CEO and founder of OpenTheBooks.com. Thank you for joining us.